significant product for Jeep, and this is one that we have been anticipating for quite a long time. Yes, I am talking, of course, about the new Meridian, which arrives as a very significant product also for Stellantis in India. Joining me to talk more about that is Roland Bouchara, who is the CEO and Managing Director for Stellantis right here. Wonderful to see you.
Good evening, Siddharth.
Comme ça?
So good to see you as well.
Yes.
This time physically.
I know, after a long time. So it's nice to be able to catch up and not just over a screen for
Absolutely,
a change.
yeah.
Big day, big product.
Oh yeah, it's a big day and big product, and again we are so happy to meet all of you. And this one is again a part of what we so call the Jeep product offensive. After the Compass, after the Wrangler, we have the Meridian, and Grand Cherokee is coming. So we are really in a kind of time where we can speak about Jeep product offensive with the Meridian. All of them, as you know, made in India.
And that's the significant part. You mentioned, of course, earlier that India is the only market outside of the US where you have the most locally built cars. Why is that important? Especially because the question comes back always to the potential of India, actual volumes. So why is it important to give that focus?
Actually, India is a strategical country for Stellantis, and our investment in India is quite significant. And I give you some figures about it. And we have a footprint in India which is quite significant with software and ICT, with tree manufacturing, with R&D, with engineering. So it looks that we are committed. Obviously, we are really committed, not on short-term, on long-term basis in India. And the product offensive is the first wave of the new era.
This car in particular, I know there was a lot of anticipation in terms of any new product always, but with this one you're addressing a very specific part of the market. There has been a lot of input from India that's gone into it. It's not just a car that's developed in the US or somewhere else and has been brought in. Again, why was it important to address it like that?
Actually, it's a part of our strategy to make India a kind of hub for cars, for parts, for components, etc. Yeah. And it was so important for this car as well, using the same platform than the one which is in Brazil, but with an add-on top hat, because the powertrain tuned differently gives some different results. And the car, partially from R&D and engineering, are being made to face or to challenge the Indian customers. And this is why, in many ways, this car has been developed for Indian customers first.
And this is I think the interesting aspect. When you first did the online presentation as well a few days ago, we talked about, or we got to hear about how that focus is different for India. Now you mentioned there is a similar or a like product that Brazil has, but this isn't the same product. Now, from a global Jeep perspective, was it always like a no-brainer to go that way, or from India was this your very key requirement?
I believe, first of all, we need to have a clear understanding of the Indian market. The Indian market is for sure. The market is going to grow, even if the COVID has generated a kind of slowdown. But without any doubt, the Indian market, as you know, will become in the next years one of the top 4 or 5 markets in the world. So again, India is a very important market for Stellantis. It is why we have invested so much. Now, concerning the product, it's important to have what I so call this kind of hub in India, being able to develop this vehicle, but this vehicle first with, as I said, fitting some technical features adapted to the Indian market. And we'll talk a little bit longer when you will have driving the car, and I will explain you what technical aspect has been fitted on this car for the Indian market. It's very important to say that this car is in India for Indian people first. Because to be successful in India is not enough to have a product lineup. We have. Is not to have a high rate of localization, which is very important for the competitiveness. We need to bring something new on the market, and something new which is aligned with the Indian customers. It is why having an R&D and engineering localized in India is so important to answer to your question.
Now, I know you're not announcing the price today, but then how much pressure do you have to get the pricing right? given all of what you just said?
You are right. We are not going to unveil the price today, but clearly this vehicle will be a key player. We are not going to be a minor player. We have a great expectation with this vehicle, and will be a key player in the SUV segment. But I believe that this car, because of this duality and sense of the design, which is part of the Jeep DNA with the reputation of Jeep, but as well this uniqueness in terms of clubbing sophistication and a sense of attention to detail, kind of luxury, and the USP of this car, which is its capabilities. And I believe that this clubbing, this kind of two duality, will not fence this car within one segment, and will make a bridge across some segment, and enlarging the potentiality of this car. I really believe so.
Now let's talk a little bit about the car itself in great detail. Some of its attributes you've mentioned, the fact that it brings a lot of luxury features, segment first features, and then of course what you expect from a Jeep, the capability, great off-road skills. Why was it also important for you to ensure that this wasn't just a 3-row compass, so it wasn't like an add-on, but it really has its own identity?
The 3-row is quite important because I think it will be in this kind of category the first 3-row with this kind of capabilities.
Yeah.
And again, it is add-on on the what also called the duality of this car, being able to be a family, friends as well, off-road, urban, wild, civilized, and I think that this is a kind of uniqueness. And the 3-row is add-on this kind of ability to be with a family or more friends.
Now, I know you already have a sort of a rollout plan. There is obviously a marketing plan and how the car is going to reach consumers. Let's talk a little bit about the production end of it, though. I mean, this is something we've spoken about before, Roland, about pressure on production when it comes to the supply chain, issues of course related to the chip shortage, but also just your own current, capacity. How will this play out?
Alors, first of all, the car, I will answer in two ways to your question. Mm-hmm. First of all, the car is going to be launched on time. It's not every time which is the case, but
especially these days.
This car is going to be, the start of production is next month.
Yeah.
It's very soon. So the car has been planned to be launched at this time and will be launched on time. That is a kind of performance, and again, I will take the opportunity to thank all the engineers and the factory workers. That's the first point.
And good planning.
And good planning. Yeah. And as you know, it's a good planning.
Yeah.
Second point, the quality has been one of the key point of focus. It's always a point of focus, but in this case, has been really a point of focus about this one. And thirdly, I will say this car is completing the product lineup after the Compass, after the Wrangler, and we'll have later on the Grand Cherokee. And in terms of capacity, to answer to your question, we have the capacity. I'm not going to give you today the volume that we are expecting because it's always a bit difficult in a market which is still uncertain for now, worldwide reason or whatever. But I have to say, at this stage in India, for India, we have been able to protect our volume expectation. Because you are referring about the chip shortage, I cannot complain. Complain.
And that's very encouraging to hear, by the way.
Yeah, and that is because the rate of localization is quite high, and I have to say we have worked quite well with our supplier based in India. With this, we have been able all together to manage the chip shortage, protecting the India.
Oh, that's good. Now, with the Compass, there was this very clear understanding of the global strategy. There were these very fixed sort of manufacturing bases where the Compass would roll out from. And it was never just about the local market, it was also about exports from that hub, like you mentioned. What's the Meridian's role going to be in that sense?
Alors, Meridian as well. Alors, I'm not going to tell you today what market will be exported, but for sure, as a Compass has been a part partially, but we'll give you more information later on.
Okay, so that as long as that focus is understood. Now, again, back to the car, you mentioned that it has certain attributes which haven't been seen in this segment. The kind of buyer who you're looking to attract, a lot of them would come from different segments. They're not just going to be like-to-like rival car buyers, but they're going to be perhaps buyers from one segment up, maybe even some sedan buyers. What's the plan to sort of make sure that you're ready to address all these different buyer requirements?
It's an important point that you are raising there, because defining what exactly will be the customer. We know the target, what Raoul was presenting, we understand the core of our customer target, we know it. Then we expect a little bit more with this car, for the reason I've just explained before, this kind of hybrid or duality, which I believe is going as well to attract some upgrader. I really think that we attract some upgrader. And we have to say as well that the Ford Hanover, which was as well someone line a key player within this kind of DSUV, disappear for the reason that we know. And I believe this car is going to be able to attract the natural target from the top end for the SUV, because it's a luxury car, but as well, because of the duality I was talking, attracting some upgraders. It is why I was talking about a bridge across the segment, which the duality USP of this car will be able to attract. And this way we are going to bring something new on the market. This car is going to bring something new on this kind of market.
Okay, and that will be something good to watch out for. All right, now as I sort of wind this down, one question which has been on my mind, ever since your first presentation online, the platform itself is fairly not only capable, but it's also fairly flexible in terms of being able to do different top hats, etc. We've seen that now globally. But one of the things is that when this platform was developed, Stellantis didn't exist. What kind of future potential do you see? Because I'm sure there's still a lot more that we can expect from the platform. And what sort of synergies do you see globally and locally?
Alors, yeah, I mean, the point of the synergy of the platform is something which has been studying. It's a bit too soon, so far we are concerned, to tell you, because again, the merger, now we have just celebrated 1 year.
Yeah, it's very early days.
Clearly there are some obviously we have some platform synergy on the table today to be studied. I'm sure we will tell you more soon.
And where does electrification fit into that entire conversation?
Alors, electrification, as you know, is one of the Stellantis development orientation, as we would like with the Jeep to be
Also
one of
Jeep,
the greenest SUV. What I can tell you is that the Jeep technology to develop electrify the range is ready, whatever it is, BEV, SUV or MSUV. For sure we'll go for this direction, but at the same time we need to take into consideration the local market, and in this case we are talking about the Indian market, and we have to wait for a little bit some development infrastructure, but clearly we will develop as well the electrification as the technology is ready, and India will be part of this electrification and the next future.
They had this SUV track in New York when I was there, and the Grand Cherokee 4xe was on it. It looks very interesting. So you're right. I think I know that the capability is there, but at what point it kicks into India, of course.
We will. One thing is sure. We will, as we should, by the way, follow the market very closely about the electrification in India. Clearly, we are ready to do it. We will see, and at the same time, we have a product planning already. We need to make sure that will be launched in an orderly way, aligned with the Indian infrastructure development.
One last point, Roland, before I let you go. About now the sort of larger picture. You mentioned it's just about a year now since everything came together at Stellantis. What's been the experience specific to India? I mean, even Citroen's been here. Specifically for India, Citroen's been here for a while. You're ready now with the new product that's coming there as well very soon. How do you see Stellantis in India? Back when you were planning it a year ago and today?
Alors, today, I'm Jeep today, but tomorrow
enough.
I will be Citroën, and that's so exciting.
But you'll always be both. So
yeah, no, I believe. We talked about Jeep and the product offensive of Jeep started last year in to be carried on this year with Meridian and Grand Cherokee and so on. That we will unveil together.
It's a big product.
But concerning Citroën, the brand was launched in 2019 now with Carlos Tavares' presence, if you do remember.
Yeah.
Same time we unveiled the C5 SUV that we launched last year. And this year we should be able to launch the C3 as planned. You know, we said on second semester.
Yeah.
And in second semester the C3 will be launched, will be a big event as well. We will have the opportunity to meet again because this one will be the first car coming from the launch from the platform, the CQ platform. And as we said before, one car will be launched every year for the next years. That is a big event. Alors, voilà, we're still keeping the date of the second semester this year.
So good to know that that's on track. So again, but for the two brands, what sort of synergies do you see, and how do you plan to exercise those synergies?
Alors, concerning, you are talking about. Alors, we are talking about a
again
different.
from India's
no,
point.
it's okay. I would like to distinguish two kinds of synergy. The synergy that we have already done since the merger, that's probably not visible from you, but quite a lot. First of all, in terms of organization, in terms of governance, and in terms as well about many aspects, like we have one parts warehouse common in Pune. We have one logistic. We have been able to develop what Raoul was explaining about the digital customer experience, which is something, because we use the digital platform that we developed for Citroën, and we are going to use the Atawadac system already for this. Then we have one technical center, one technical hub. We have, we have already done a lot of things within 1 year. Now, concerning probably the sense of your question, that I presume is all about a platform, etc. Again, my answer will be, again, yes, there are a lot of studies on the table at this stage, but it's a bit too soon to unveil this kind of synergy in terms of platform, which are which are been studying so far.
I think what I really wanted to know from you is that, we understand obviously it increases efficiency, it helps control costs. So those things are the obvious ones to understand. Platform sharing at some point, maybe. Again, I will not ask you about that right now. But what about, the fact that maybe it allows both brands? It allows both brands to kind of, go faster, accelerate, be a little more agile in the market. Maybe what would have happened over a longer period of time now can be compressed.
I cannot tell you because we have already a plan for Jeep which has been defined. You see the product offensive and more coming, which has already planned to do it. Concerning CQ, we have a robust already, because we plan a very robust portfolio. If we are able, as I believe we will be, to launch one car every year.
And we've spoken about that.
That will be already a performance. Then, concerning I can also in a way to you about some cost, lead time, cost efficiency. We have today two R&D working all together. We have not to forget that we have an R&D for Jeep and one R&D for Citroën, and obviously people are going to work together. And again, after 1 year, it's a bit too soon to say, but clearly there are some roadmap for cost efficiency.
Exciting times ahead.
Oh yeah, it's
so
very exciting.
My last
very
question
exciting.
to you: a year from today, as we look ahead, what do you see for the position of Jeep in India, and the kind of performance you expect from the Meridian by then?
Okay, I will tell you.
Crystal ball gazing.
Clearly, let me say first, I'm the CEO of Stellantis in India, that I believe within the next years, as ambition, we'll have, I think that with our product portfolio, both for Jeep and Citroën, I can foresee that we'll have a strong presence, and the segment where we will be, which probably most of them will be above 4 meters, but we'll have a strong presence in this kind of segment. Will be significant. We'll have a significant presence in this kind of CSUV, DSUV, whatever. Even with the C3, with the C3. So we'll have. It's important to be in the country, to carry on the growth with profitability, because if not, we cannot invest in new technology. So the profitability, the sustainable profitability with growth is mandatory. So our ambition is to develop our range and the kind of segment where we will be with a strong presence with the segment, meaning achieving a kind of market share which is significant in each of segment where we will be. That's the first point. Knowing, as I know, the product portfolio we have for each of the brand. Now, concerning the Meridian, we have some expectation in terms of volume, not being a minor player but a key player. Clearly, with this car, you can foresee that will be in a DSUV. But I believe that this car is going to enlarge this kind of DSUV where the number of players, as you know, is not so many. There are not so many. But this car is going to give a kind of open window. Not open window because it's not the right expression. It is going to open the door to new upgraders. Because I'm not going to speak about competitors, but this car again is going to make a bridge between, as we talked before, DSUV top end and as well some CSUV upgraders. And this car, because of the duality that we talked before, should attract both of them. And it is why I believe the volume expectation for this car is as well, without giving you any figures, because it's always difficult to predict what will be the market and the evolution or whatever, even the pricing, because you know with the price of the commodities, we are obliged to look after this kind of positioning very closely, very carefully. But I think we'll be a big player.
I'm looking forward to all of that rolling out. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Always good to see you.
Yeah.
All the very best.
It's very exciting time.